So let's look at how the object selection tool works in Photoshop. So the object selection tool is right here. It's underneath the wand tool, if you can't find it. And basically the shortcut key is W. Now it really requires a good contrast against the background. So I'm going to use it on this image first. And first we're going to layer from background. And let's just drag a window over this chair and see how it's removed the background. So we have that there. I'm actually going to select the inverse and then delete. And we can see that it's done okay. It hasn't removed the inside bits, and it looks like it removed a little too much here. So that's going to be the situation with the object selection tool, that it might not always be perfect depending on the level of contrast. Let's try this on this chair. Again, it's done some things really well, but if we select the inverse and then delete everything else, we can see that it's really missing a lot of the different background kind of elements. And let's try this one last time with this one. Now, this one actually looks like it's done a really good job. So if I select the inverse and then delete it, I can see that this one has removed the background and it looks like it's done a really nice job. Now, the key here is that there's differences between all of these original images. So this one, if I undo, even though it doesn't have a super high contrast against the background, there's enough of a contrast to make it where Photoshop really recognizes the difference between the pixels. And also on this one, there's no additional kind of elements that is going to mean that there are kind of holes in the object that Photoshop isn't going to necessarily realize are there unless you tell them. And this one just did not work. There's a little bit too much going on in the background, and there are holes in the object, and Photoshop wasn't going to recognize that. And it just wasn't quite the right type of image to use the object selection tool. Now, this one you would think would have worked great because it's a high contrast image on a very, a really kind of nondescript background. The problem here is that there is a reflection on the object, and that color is really similar to the background. And so Photoshop thought it was a continuation of the background. And then also all of these different elements in here, because they're kind of closed off from the rest of the background in terms of pixels, Photoshop didn't recognize that those also would need to be deleted. And so that's why this one didn't work as well. So there are definitely some advantages to the object selection tool when the image is right, but when it's not right, you likely want to choose another way of removing the background of the image.